Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's June tour. I am so excited to be here and share our garden with you guys today, primarily because May is the month of hope. June is the month where everything starts to bloom and come to life, so I'm so excited. So I am at our entrance where I typically start just because I love this arbor, and we do have some roses now that are blooming. Eventually those roses on each side of that arbor are going to take off. So let's go ahead and get started and we'll do today's fun tour. So right over here we have our Cecile Brunner rose that will eventually hopefully climb up over around that arbor. And let me tell you, if you need a rose that smells amazing, this is it. And she has the most beautiful little divine little roses and rosebuds. It's just so sweet. I just love the color. In here I also have a honeymoon rose that has not started blooming yet, but should start blooming anytime soon. So those will be fantastic, and those two will climb over that arbor. On this side, sorry, I'll try to slow down. On this side I have the exact same roses planking each side. So again, there's my Cecile Brunner or Brunet, and I have a honeymoon rose in there as well. So very, very excited to see. In fact, I'm starting to already start to train these. You can see I've got it already starting to connect, so that's really exciting. And then if you look at my two big black pots, I have lots and lots of geraniums that are blooming. In fact, probably this next weekend I'm going to go ahead and cut them back just because they get a little they get a little crazy towards the end of their bloom. They start to splay out or spray out and kind of fall over. So in here I have an earth angel rose in each one of these pots, flanked by lots of geraniums. Again, if you're not familiar with geraniums, there's a ton of hardy geraniums out there that you can purchase. They're one of my favorites in the garden, primarily because there's so many different styles, colors, blooms, and even textures for their leaves. I also have some wire vine. If we come over here, I just learned that this geranium right here is from 1890. They no longer sell it, but it is one of my favorite. It does not reseed itself, but it is beautiful. I love the leaves, and so I've been taking root cuttings every year to propagate more. And then down here I have some just some climbing sedum that's going to trail down, some coral sedum as well. And then over here I have the same wire vine. So again, these earth angels are supposed to be amazing as well. I think they're a low growing climber, I think. Don't quote me on that. But they're about ready. They have, as you can see, lots of buds on them as well. So those will be blooming probably very shortly. We live in Toledo, Oregon, which is a zone 9A. For those in the other parts of the country that have a zone 9A, typically it's really warm climate. Here on the Oregon coast, that warm is not as warm as many experience. So I'm not sure why our zone is a zone 9A, but it was switched over, and that is a-okay. So if I come over to here, again, you're going to see this bed. Most of my peonies are starting to bloom, which I'll show you in just a second on the other side. These guys will take about another day. This side gets more shade than the other side that I'll show you in a little bit. But this bed has been here for about 4 or 5 years. And then and we'll kind of walk through this in just a second, but when I go this way, last year, end of April, my husband and I were talking about well, he just said, "Sean, I know you would really like a rock garden." And we were trying to grow grass, and the grass, we're not very good at doing that. And the grass was spotty because we have quite a bit of shade in our front yard due to that cherry tree and all these trees up here. So we decided to go ahead and do that project. It took us about a month. We have over 100,000 pounds of rock, and you'll see we have pea gravel, we have standard gravel, we have big rocks, we have small rocks, and I just love it. So before we actually came and started hauling the rocks, which we did by ourselves, I took a pen and paper and kind of drew this out to how I wanted it. So this is all new since the year. So all the plants that you're seeing are somewhat immature. They're just been in the ground for about a year. But anyways, I took a pen and I drew this out, and I drew a circle around here. And there's, I think these are about 4 feet beds, and I have 8 of those flanking around the circle to kind of give some symmetry and make it a little bit more formal, at least. Otherwise that fire pit out there would have looked just kind of odd out there. So it's a little bit more formal than we liked, but we are informal people, so we wanted to actually keep our fire pit. We don't use it a whole lot. My other dream would be, and maybe maybe someday my husband will be okay with it, but take that fire pit out and put a big fountain there would be really, really pretty. But until then, it's still beautiful anyways. So you can see we've done a lot of work in just 1 year short time, and it is so beautiful. In fact, when I was designing it and after we finished our project at the end of last May, I was thinking, I sure hope we like this next year, and I sure hope grass isn't going to be a beast in here to grow through. We use landscape fabric for some of the areas, the gravel and the rock, and in other areas we just, we ran out, so we put cardboard down. And we really haven't had to have pull very many weeds or grass. So it's been an ideal solution for us for sure. So it's okay if you guys don't like our design, it won't hurt my feelings, but it does give a different alternative or another alternative for people who can't grow grass successfully or it's dead by July. So this is what our solution was, and again, we love it. Each one of these circles too have, or within the circle, we have this walkway. We have another walkway flanking out there that's going towards that arbor. And then we added a new arbor, which you guys will see today as well. And then this walkway right here goes out to that way. So we have 4 walkways that interject into the circle. Isn't that just so beautiful? So now I'm going to go back and we'll kind of come through here again in a minute, talk about all the things that are growing in here. But I wanted to go back over here and kind of walk this way first. In fact, I might go this route today just to give you guys a different view. You can see that all of our daylilies are about ready to bloom. They've got lots of little blooms just waiting to go. I have a cute little tater tot arborvitae that I purchased from a small vendor in Salem, Oregon. So yesterday our high was 77, which is pretty warm for the Oregon coast. It's just perfect weather for us. And today I think it's probably going to max out at 80, which is high temperatures, but the valley is expecting, I think, 3 digits. So we're kind of lucky. We get a lot cooler weather here, which does delay some of your blossoms, but to me it's worth it because it's cooler. So that is what you pay for, or don't pay for, but that's what you get. So these are some ferns that some birds dropped, and we just left them. So again, this bed has been established and been here for about 4 or 5 years. And when my husband and I were dating, clear back in end of 2016, and I moved in, none of these beds were here, including that back one back there. We had nothing. It was just, there was an old deck that extended out and it was in pretty bad shape. So my husband took that down and he rebuilt our deck over there, which is beautiful. And that was my very first bed that I ever designed here. And we'll walk over there in a little bit, but it's also very pretty. So again, when you look this way, there was nothing here but grass. Nothing was here. So you can see we've actually done quite a bit. I have a friend that posted this morning, I can't believe all that you guys do outside, because every day we are doing something. And I love it. It's just makes my heart so happy to be outside and planting and working in the yard. This Japanese maple was an inexpensive clearance. I think this was a $10, $15 Japanese maple that we purchased last year on clearance. And if you're just starting out, I'm going to talk to you guys today a little bit about propagating plants to make more plants. Not all of us are rich, and so we have to find ways to fill in our gardens until we can afford to purchase what we actually want to have in the gardens. Daylilies is one of those easy plants to dig up and break sections. In fact, these all should be divided. There's about 3 different plants in here, but you can see they're getting pretty big. So I could probably divvy up each one of these into 3 plants and plant them out in other places. But I don't really necessarily want any more geraniums per se. Other things that are easy to propagate is sedum. This isn't the prettiest looking one right here, but this is one of them that I put in last spring. And you'll see some more over here. I typically purchase a couple plants and then propagate as much as I can. Unless it's a plant that is patented, where you're not allowed to do that, then I don't try not to do it. Or if I don't know, but I try to be mindful of that. This is a Sunjoy. Now yesterday I got a little bit of a burn because it's not used to high 70s. We went from 60s to almost 80 yesterday. So again, there's some autumn joy. Autumn joy is also another plant that's super easy to propagate. Simply take pieces off, pop it in the ground, and it will take root so long as you give it plenty of water so that it can root in. You can see some white powdery stuff. You will see that throughout my garden. That is primarily because we still are trying to beat those slugs. The only effective way that I can find so far that works for slugs is going out in the morning and picking them up, or disposing them in as most humane way as I can. Here's another big sunjoy. These are dwarf barberries, so they're not going to get too big, but that's a pretty big one right here on the corner. You're going to see lots and lots of heuchera or coral balls in my yard as well. It's also a plant that is super easy to propagate. In fact, in order for that plant to thrive and do well, you actually do want to do some propagating, and plus you get free plants of it. Phlox right back there. This is a light lavender one, I believe. Also another really easy plant to propagate. So most of my garden is propagated with one initial plant and then just keep going down. So here is the view this way. Don't mind those little pots down there. And I'm a real life gardener. I don't have drip line, except for my husband has put in a drip line back there, and I haven't used it yet, primarily because I'm kind of a control freak right now, and I enjoy the watering process. I like to see what's been growing. But eventually we're going to need to set everything up on drip line. It's just a little bit much trying to hand water everything. So excuse the hose. That is a honeysuckle right there. And let me see where else we want to take you today. Again, my husband designed the benches. These arbors are for sale. They're heavy, heavy duty. They're beautiful. So we've got one there. We've got one there. And then if I go this way, we have one right here. And so he does sell those. We have quite a few customers in Oregon and Washington that have been purchasing those. We have one customer that has purchased 4. And so that's pretty exciting for us. So my husband designed the benches. I'll show you another project we worked on yesterday that I'm also excited about. Spirea, by the way, you're going to see these bright green. I don't know the variety. I keep trying to figure this one out. It's not double play. I'm not sure which one this is. It's not Big Bang because it's so chartreuse. I'm not sure of the variety. The one thing that I will say for all of my Spirea this year is there's not the blossoms are there, but they're a lot smaller. So I'm not sure what the issue may be there. You're going to see 2 obliques, this one right here, and then there's a black one over there. I'm hoping the little swallows are trying to make a nest in this little birdhouse right there, but I see them come and go. This blue birdhouse used to be back there, and I'll show you the new ones that we put in this last couple weeks or a month ago. And anyways, the little swallows were used to this one, so they want to have the nest there. So even though we made new ones and cleaned them out, obviously they're brand new, they are not thrilled with their new home. So I don't know if we're going to get baby swallows here this year or not, which kind of makes me sad. So if we go over here, this circle bed right here is at 1 year old, and it's got lots of different types of geraniums again. This one, she can be kind of a beast. I don't know the names of my geraniums either. I should learn them, but there's just too many varieties in my garden. But this one's a really pretty one. It's got a nice deep kind of dark purple center. So pretty, but she does become she's a little bit, she doesn't know her boundaries. She doesn't know personal space. She'll kind of take over this whole area. So as soon as she's done blooming, which will probably be this week, probably next week, and I'll come in and cut those down, and then they'll reflush out and be beautiful. And I will get a few more blooms from them this year. Something that's kind of silly that I didn't realize is this is globe thistle. I had no idea that globe thistle was going to be quite this tall. So this is also going to be moved probably next spring when I'm in the process of kind of cleaning out my beds, because she's just a bit of a beast. And here is one of the blooms. This is going to turn purple and so pretty. And these look pretty sharp, but it's not really too bad. It's a little prickly, but not too bad. Again, I have the same geranium over here, and then there's this white one that I told you about that is extinct. Basically, you can no longer purchase it. If you have it, great. And it does not seed itself, so the only way you get new starts of this was a start from this year that I took from another, and it's pretty big, so I'll probably take a couple more starts and move it around my garden. I just love the white. It looks so elegant and beautiful in the garden. So if I keep coming around this way, there's a lot of autumn joy sedum that's in here, but again, you can't see it because of the geranium and heuchera that is kind of moving over and taking over this garden space, but that is okay. I'll clean that up soon. Again, most of my autumn joy sedum I've propagated throughout my garden to make more plants, which saves me time and money in regards to having to go to the store, and I just love them. My daughter-in-law says they remind her of broccoli when they have their little florets on the top, and I think that is a good analogy of them. I grew quite a bit of plants this year inside, so this is I just forgot the name. Anyways, it's super soft, and this one's not doing as well as some others that are in my garden, and I'll show you in a little while, and probably the name will come back at that point. But my most favorite purchase this year is this Ruby Red Falls Red Bud, and she is just beautiful. Look at her heart-shaped leaves, if you can see that. That's another reason why I need to kind of move out these globe thistles, because they're kind of crowding her out, but her leaves are just amazing. She's going to get about 5 feet wide and then about 10 feet in height, so she'll be a really pretty accent tree in this bed. I also have another favorite plant that's easy to grow here is Veronica. Veronica is also a plant that the slugs don't seem to like. This is a brand new geranium that I purchased this year. I just love the color of the leaf. Look at that. This one's going to have, I believe, like a lavender, so I'll show you guys that when she does bloom. And I will be posting this to my YouTube channel and sharing the link through Instagram as well, so those that are want to see it from any different avenue can get to our video. I also have some grasses, which I also love. There is in here some coneflower or echinacea that's in here as well. And we had a bunch of wild irises that were in this bed as well that are done blooming. But again, we just grabbed those from our outdoor. We have some woods right by our house and transplanted those, and they do very, very, very well. Hens and chicks, also something I very much love. I love how they trail over the rocks, provide color and some definition and just some fun interest in the garden. We have some bird's nest spruce. I have, I believe, 4 of these. 4 of these in the garden that I do love. The only reason why those cages on there is to help prevent my dogs from wee-weeing on them. And then all of these beds out here, I'll walk out here first. Again, we've got our heuchera or coral bells. Started again originally with 2, just broke them off. And for a first year little bed, these look all pretty well established. In fact, some of them I've already taken starts out to propagate and move out in other places. I can't remember the name of this one, but I love this sedum right here. It's so pretty. It's going to have some bright pink, but I just really like the different color foliage. So this one's kind of got a burgundy that kind of matches the heuchera. Each one of these has a boxwood, and unfortunately they're being kind of crowded out by other things, but the boxwoods I'm hoping will get big enough to kind of, again, provide a little bit of formality in each of these little beds. If I come over here, you're going to see the exact same kind of plants that I have. Again, this is that same sedum that I love. And for whatever reason, these actually do fairly well. This gets quite a bit of shade, but they're still doing well. I'm not sacrificing anything. I'll show you. That's another thing. Since I planted out here, because of that tree right there that I talked to you about a minute ago, I tried to plant plants that were going to be okay in sun or shade. Even if they didn't get as much sun as they prefer, they still do pretty well. Now that's another one of the bird's nest spruce that's not doing so well. And I have a little sad story. We had a gardener snake get stuck on this not too long ago, and it did die in that little cage. So that made me feel bad. Gardener snakes are actually really good for your garden. Nothing to be afraid of regarding those. This bed again has similar plants for symmetry and just for cohesion throughout my garden. And then you're going to see this boxwood. I didn't realize this is where you know that you still need to learn and grow. I had no idea. I've always loved boxwoods, but I had no idea there were so many different versions. This is a green mountain. That's another green mountain over there. And that tiny one that I showed you over there is not a green mountain. So again, you learn your lessons as you go through time. That is a beautiful Japanese maple that my bonus children purchased for me several years ago that I had on our back deck. If you haven't seen our back deck video, go ahead and take a peek at that. But this was leaning up against the house, so you can see it's really full and in the front, and then the back it's kind of it needed some guidance because it was trying to grow forward. So we are staking it, trying to help it learn to go towards the light and maybe strengthen those 2 branches right there. This is probably my most favorite maple that we purchased several years ago in Salem at a nursery. And I don't know the name of it. I can't remember it, but it's absolutely gorgeous. It starts out like this bright, bright pink coloring, and then it just transitions to burgundy, has a little bit of orange in it. And then in the fall, let me tell you, I cannot wait to show you what this looks like in the fall. I think I'm going to actually take her out of her pot and plant her up, but you can see there's some different coloring in here. But she's going to be bright, bright pink coming this fall, and she's just going to be so pretty. Behind that, you're going to see one of our lemon cypresses that is not doing so hot. We were given these from a friend, and they were potted up they were huge for the pot, and that one for whatever reason didn't take. You'll see another one a little bit that did, so we're gonna unfortunately have to cut that one. Now this little arch, since we just installed this last month, and so we don't have anything climbing up it or even growing on the sides. Next year I'll either do clematis or a rose that can handle mostly shade, because this over here is primarily shade. That bed back there we'll talk about in just a little bit. It's primarily filled with Green Mountain boxwoods. I added those this year for just to kind of make some formality and add some winter color interest, followed by lots of different types of, oh my goodness, hostas. And there's lots of different colors back there, and heucheras. So this bed is primarily shade. Again, this is one of the 8 that are in here. And so I can get away with planting things a little bit more towards full shade than I would in the other 8, but I still try to keep the same consistency, meaning while this is a different color heuchera, look how beautiful that one is. And its white blossoms are just about done blooming, or little stalks of flowers. And don't mind my hands, I was staining yesterday. I'll show you a project we finished. And that stain, turns out, does not want to come off. I also have some, and I just wanted to try it out. I grew Japanese anemone in my years and years ago, and I loved it so much, but it wasn't growing very where we initially planted it, which I knew it wasn't going to, but I wanted to try it. I actually planted it back there. That is primarily full shade in the afternoon. So I moved this one and planted it here. I know I'm going to have to move it though, because Japanese anemone, while they're beautiful, they're going to have pretty pink or white, creamy white flowers. They really do prefer full shade, but this is probably not the best location because it's going to want to take over. So again, we have a green, this one's not a Green Mountain. This is one of the other boxwoods that I can't remember the name of. It's a tinier version, but I really, if I could find more of this, whatever it is, I'll probably get more of it because it's just dainty. The leaf structures are a little bit more close knit, which I really like. Here's a little tater tot arborvitae that I love and doing very well. And this is shade, and I thought it was, curious about how that was going to do, but it does pretty well. And then if I scroll up, we have 2 seating areas over here, and we'll talk about that bed in just a little bit. Again, over here, we're keeping with the same consistency across the board with colors and plants that are used in here. So geraniums, sedum, boxwood, hens and chicks, even in the shade, they're still growing. Same thing over here. So what I wanted to talk to you guys about now, since we're right here, is these Japanese maples. These were purchased from a big box store, this one in particular, and this one. My husband bought this one at Home Depot last year online because I just loved it. Kind of reminds me of a topiary tree. It's just so pretty, and so I'm really excited about that. It's put on quite a bit of growth this last year. And then this one was a clearance one. We try to save money, and most of the time when you purchase clearance, that's a-okay, because even if they don't look super hot, they're going to come back beautifully as long as you take care of them and give them what they need. This one was grafted in 2 different places, it looks like, so I do have another Japanese maple in there. I did grab a bunch of seeds from all of my Japanese maples because we are building a greenhouse. We're a little slow in getting that project going because we've been doing other projects, but I am going to try to see if I can't seed any of them. So here's the other arbor that my husband obelisk that my husband recently did. He added my bonus son and him made me some birdhouses that we also flanked up there. There is another bird's nest, but what I wanted to show you over here really quick, if I can do this without falling. If I ever fall in a video, just laugh, because I will laugh about it too. There is this brand new clematis that we planted up this year. It's our first year, and such a pretty color. You guys remember in my May tour, I had several of those white ones that were blooming. This is a yellow climbing rose that I'm really excited about. The only downside, and it's got quite a few blossoms, but I pruned everything this year, and I don't know what was going on that day, but I wasn't really thinking about my climbers, and I pruned them hard down to the bottom. This one in particular is supposed to grow, I think, 7 or 8 feet each year, so it's going to be a big climber once she gets going. But this year she's doing pretty well, but she would have been bigger had I not cut her. So again, here's this bed right here. We have this one's another tater tot arborvitae, and that one has a little bit of brown in it that I'm hoping will bounce back. So if I scroll back up, you guys can see this view from here. Again, there's the dead lemon cypress right there that we need to cut out. And the same, we fertilize them really well when we put them in the ground. They have the same light that they receive over there too, so I'm not sure what happened. And so here we go. So there's our big red barn back there, which I think is a pretty accent in all my photos when I take photos this way. So let's go back this way. I apologize if I'm making you dizzy. And we'll talk about this long side bed. Again, this is a newer bed. We purchased this weeping spruce this last spring that I love. She's just so pretty how she's going up and over. I kind of hope that she eventually trails up, over, and down. I don't know how she'll look, to be quite honest. You'll see my peonies with the heat yesterday we just received are starting to open. These are really pretty light pink, and then they start out pink and then they're going to turn into a really nice kind of a creamy color. So again, you're going to see kind of the same things. I have lots of Veronica. I believe this is a stained glass. I couldn't think of the name last time. This is a stained glass heuchera. Again, I have a couple of these throughout my garden that I've propagated. More sedum, and I do have some black-eyed Susans back here as well. This was purchased in a sedum kit or a sedum package that I purchased online from Marketplace. And that looks like a house plant to me. I don't know what that is. I've got some carnations right here that are about ready to take off. And unfortunately, after so many years with these guys, or this might be dianthus actually, it will splay out in the center, which means I need to dig them up and replant. But that is a project for another day for sure. Back here, this is a rose that my mother-in-law bought me for last Mother's Day. She's just a sweet, sweet lady. In fact, my husband and I yesterday built her 4 big planter boxes and planted them up that he's taking out to her this morning, which I'm excited for. But this is going to be a pink rose. I believe it's a week's rose, but I'm not 100% sure because I didn't pay attention last year. She didn't do so hot. I will say that with the heat comes new territorial bugs. So I believe we have aphids, and I have been spraying with neem oil, but it doesn't seem to be doing anything. I can't tell that neem oil even works. Back there is a cypress in a pot that is going to get very, very tall. I'm going to take that out, I think, soon and get it planted in the ground. And then down here, this is a euonymus, and you're going to see lots of things that need to be pruned back. I'm going to prune that back into a small sphere so it's just a little bit more manageable. For whatever reason, this area right here, I keep trying to plant things and it doesn't do so hot. So I don't know what the different aspects of the soil is, but it's not as good right there, just in the front. You'll see that I have recently planted some more Veronica, and this one was a generic. That's all it said was Speedwell Veronica, and I purchased those this last week at Fred Meyer's. This one I purchased from, I believe, Heirloom Roses, and this is a First Love, which gets a little bit taller, and you can see some of those pink spikes coming on as we speak right now. Back there, my dahlias are just starting to poke their little heads up, but they are being infested by slugs. In fact, I came out this morning, got a big one that was on there. You want to try to get those slugs before they have babies, because then you're going to be fighting that as well. So we have more peonies over here, and if I zoom in on this little guy right here, you can see how pretty she is. We did get quite a bit of rain off and on in May, so but now we're looking at dry weather for a long time, and that might be the reason why we got classified as a zone 9A. I'm not sure. There's more Veronica right there, and this spirea right here is living its best life, as you can see, because it's taking over. Again, as soon as she's done, I'm going to prune her back and make her like a sphere. You may not realize that, but you can actually kind of cut your spirea in the shape that you'd like, so that I can see my other plants, which I think there's might be some more underneath here. Once I cut it back, it'll give more room for everything else that is trying to grow. That is one thing I wanted to show you too. You can see this is newer growth behind. It starts out as a green, and actually early spring it starts out, it also gets this real chartreusey with some really dark orange leaves, and now you can see it's kind of transitioning to that really light color, which if you look this way does make a statement in your garden for your color. And that's one thing I try to do with my design, is have colors throughout. I don't do the 1, 3, 5, except for some instances I do, primarily because I'm just propagating. But that being said, I try to make sure to infuse color throughout the bed everywhere. I have some tall phlox back here, which if you're not familiar with growing, tall phlox do amazing in most areas, although some experience powdery mildew. I have not yet experienced that, but they're also very easy to propagate in the spring, which I've been nervous to propagate phlox for some reason, but this last year I tried it, they came back. So I did some more this spring, so you guys will see that in just a little bit. This is a pretty light lavender, and this is a darker lavender. It's not a deep purple. Again, you can see that the daylilies are starting to go to town. This one smells really good too. The only thing I don't like about daylilies is that they can look a little battered after they're done blooming. Sometimes those leaves will want to turn brown. The other thing is this one should have been divided out 3 years ago, and I still have yet to do that. So again, this long bed right here was one of the beds. The outlining beds have been here about 4 or 5 years, with the exception I'll talk to you about over there in a little bit. But these have been here for quite a while, so these are fairly well established. My husband teases me because I said I need some more plants to fill in, and he said, no, you don't. How could you even say that? You have tons of plants. But if you're like me and you like the cottage look, we like full beds, so I do have some gaps that I'm hoping that next year when I get our greenhouse up, I can start getting some plants going a little bit quicker. So if I come over here, here's another Veronica. This again, this is another one of the ones that I just purchased at Walmart. $10, easy peasy, but it didn't have a specific name. It just said Veronica Speedwell. This is a little blueberry muffin ajuga that I'm hoping is going to take over down here. This is another plant that I purchased from Heirloom Roses. If you're looking for a vendor that has very healthy plants and proven winners, Heirloom Roses is a really good option for you. So now if you take a peek at those phlox, look how tall they are. And they're not done growing. They're probably going to get about, that's about 3-4 feet. It's going to grow another foot at least before this one's done. That phlox right there is a little bit shorter version, but it'll be fun to see what that looks like. Down there, again, just to fill up space, is a little metal tin with some sedum that's just there. This is I believe this is going to be a purple Speedwell Veronica. And I've had this one for a couple of years, which I love. Penstemon. I bought some penstemon last year. That's beautiful. The only thing that I'm kind of bummed about is they did not come back the full size, so I don't know if I didn't have enough compost in there or fertilizer. I am not quite sure, but that is what it is. Over here, this is another, this kind of reminds me, same leaf structure as the white one that is now you can no longer purchase it. This is a light pink version, and she's just a really pretty one. I have propagated her. She's all over my garden as well, and she just looks so sweet. Again, we've got more heuchera or coral bells, more of that pink sedum. And then right here, I cannot wait to show you when she blooms. This is first, what is her name? Burst of Joy Rose, and she kind of makes me laugh. I believe I purchased her from Jackson & Perkins last year. I don't know if she was on clearance. I'm not sure what I was thinking, but she has the brightest crayon orange roses that I've ever seen. In fact, literally, I've never seen a rose that color before. It is so bright. It's the darkest, brightest orange I've ever seen. And at first, I wasn't sure if I liked her, but now I actually love her because she's just, again, a burst of joy. She just comes out with all her glory and her bright colors. So she's got quite a few blooms as well, and she's a pretty tall rose. So this is probably about 5 feet already, so she's going to be pretty big. So that'll be fun. You can see back there peeking through is another daylily. I have all different colors. That's going to be a beautiful one. And then foxgloves in my region or my area is just a native plant that just seeds itself. I don't have to do anything special, and they seem to pop up in beautiful locations, so I am good to go to let them enjoy their lives, and I don't usually pluck them out unless I absolutely need to. This is a Deodar cedar that I planted in a pot, which you can't see because of all the coral sedum and the creeping Jenny, but it's a big brown pot. And I planted her intentionally in here because she's going to get about 150 feet tall. Yes, you heard me correct. Sometimes I don't pay attention to dimensions. So eventually she's going to have to come out of that, and then I'll probably plant her somewhere out in the field because she cannot be in my yard. She'll be too big for her space or too big for her britches. More Autumn Joy sedum. And this Veronica is purple one is another one that I purchased at Walmart, $10, very inexpensive. And these, if they come back, which typically they do for me, I can propagate and move out to other places in the garden. Another big giant spirea, and back there again, learning lesson from Miss Shawnette. I did not realize that Leland cypress are also going to get huge. So I did a hard prune back on these. I have another one you'll see in a minute, but they get pretty big as well. And that's in the ground. So I might have to dig that up and move it out to our big field. I have some Asiatic lilies that are about ready to bloom, and it's funny how they kind of match the spirea right now, but those will be really pretty. And then I have some Sweet William seeds that I had, some wild seeds that I just kind of threw in different places last year. Another small dainty Veronica, which, by the way, you can purchase your plants from big, big stores or whatever, or you can purchase them from online. Really what I can see the difference, like this one was purchased probably like at Walmart last year, is the size. Usually if you buy like Proven Winners or from really well-known vendors, you're going to get a bigger, healthier plant. But again, if you're trying to save money or you're not around those other locations, it's sometimes, purchasing what you need to at the time works. I did buy 5 different macrophilia hydrangeas this year that I'm really excited about. Some of them don't look as hot as others, but this is their first year in the ground, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. Back there, I again have dahlias that are doing pretty well, as well as some liatris or liatris, depending on how you enunciate that. More dahlias here, and we'll talk about a little bit more over there in just a second. And then some sweet little dianthus down here. I just love that color. More of that pink geranium. And then if I come over here, this arbor, I'm going to back up a little bit so you guys can see a better view of this. This is one of the arbors as well that my husband designed that I love. I purchased 2 hanging baskets that'll be coming this week that I'm going to pot up and plant them out here. And I think it'll be pretty to have them hanging over the bench. That bench my husband also designed. So I feel like I got really lucky with a husband that likes to do projects like me and helps me create beauty in our garden. Those are the 3 new birdhouses that my husband and my bonus son, Blake, made for us. And I just love those so much. But I was hoping we would get more little swallows this year, but unfortunately they're not happy with their new homes yet. So it might take a year for them to feel safe and come to the section. Now on each side of this arbor, I have... I just forgot the name. I have Edens, an Eden rose on each side that should climb. I did have just 1 rose this year. That was my big flush of the year on each side, but they will eventually trail up and over. And if you haven't seen an Eden rose, you're in for a treat. They kind of remind me of peonies. If I come over here too, I did plant a Zephyrin. She's not looking so hot, so I'm not sure if she's going to make it. But I'm not going to worry about it too much. So that is what it is. And then if I come back over here, again, this is another Japanese maple. This is probably our oldest in our garden. In fact, she's been here probably since 2017 or 18. So she's been here for a long time. But look at this rose. This is one of 3. I purchased 3 of the same one. Now it looks like a pink on here, but it's, oh, look at the little bumble. It's really more of a mauve color. And she just started blooming this morning, or she's starting to open up this morning. She's so pretty. First year in the ground. So I'm pretty impressed when I see roses for first year. This is another one of those Speedwells Veronica that I purchased from Walmart yesterday as well. And then I have, again, I think this is heirloom. This is another one of those blueberry muffin ajugas that I'm hoping will trail down eventually. And this is a dahlia that I propagated last year just from a cutting. If you take a cutting of the soft part, even like to right there, pull off most of the leaves, put it in some rooting hormone, and then I just used cups with soil, and that is a free dahlia right there. I didn't have time this year to propagate those kinds of things, but I did grow a lot of things from seeds. Back there is another First Love rose that is about ready to take off and bloom. This is where the phlox went that I propagated, and there's a bunch of little babies, if you can see right there. So that'll be fun to see those grow as well. More liatris, more dahlias, more of that sweet little geranium, and it just looks so pretty in here. And I have some sweet flag grass back there as well. It really likes more shade and more moisture, so I might have to transplant that one and move it. And then again, if I come this route, we're going to talk about all these plants, but let me unzoom. I think I'm zoomed in. Let's talk about all that. What is all that greenery? That is Crocosmias And I think it's the Lucifer brand. I don't really like the name Lucifer, but that is what it is. But I don't grow them necessarily for the flowers. I grow them primarily for the hummingbirds. They get a really tall, although I think the flowers are pretty, they get a tall spike that kind of shoots out, and little lobular little flowers that the hummingbirds love. In fact, we will see hummingbirds all throughout this area, and we get to see them. They're not too shy to come over here. So I'll show you guys that video probably next month. Down here I have another Euonymus and some coral sedum that somehow just fell in and started growing. I have some tick seed or coreopsis back here as well. There's another one of the hydrangeas. This one's not doing as well. I didn't realize, if you think of hydrangeas, they need a lot of water, and so you want to make sure you plant them in a location that's easy for you. This is a purple echinacea or coneflower. Again, I think it might need more water right there. I'm not sure. There's a tick seed or coreopsis right there that is doing very well. That should take over. But you see these blank spots. This drives me nuts. If you're like me and by the way, my husband did put 2 drip lines out. I haven't tried them yet. As I mentioned, I'm kind of a control freak, so I like to do the watering. But we are expanding our gardens so much that I'm gonna have to figure out something, because it's just not realistic to do all the watering. There is the second Leland cypress, and this is not the best place. The walkway is right here, and you could see it's right next to the sidewalk. So I have pruned her up quite a bit, and you can prune back the new growth, which was about 8 inches this year, but she did grow quite a bit in height. She is now taller than I am, and she was a small little clearance plant last year, I think at Home Depot. We have more of the spirea, and I'm going to go down this way again. We have more of the oh, I just forgot the name. Well, anyways, we have more of the criscosmias. And when you're sitting over here, I'll talk to you about this area in a second, but when you're sitting in this little space right here, it's our front seat view to our hummingbirds when those start growing. So it's pretty exciting. So let's back up a tiny bit, and I apologize. I'll try to do this without making anybody dizzy. You're going to see, again, we wanted to have, it kind of reminds me of like being in a really beautiful park with all the rocks. And so we have some boulders where we just popped some things in there. But this is, again, a first year flower bed, or full year. And so in here, you're going to see we have Lady's Mantle. Lady's Mantle, again, oh my goodness, I love it. I love the beautiful flowers. I love when there's raindrops on it, or even after watering. It kind of just looks iridescent and so pretty. But Lady's Mantle has been popular for years and years and years. I can get away with planting some hostas because this has part sun and part shade. We are still morning here. We are in shade. In the afternoon, it's going to be some sun. And then late afternoon, it's going to actually be shaded again. Lady's Mantle is another really super easy plant to propagate. In fact, I'll show you some that I've propagated. These were all propagated last year. I bought 2 plants and divided them out. Now you can see how big they are. I can take plants startings from these in the fall and move those around as well. I have some more sweet flag grass right here. And Autumn Joy. Now, some of my Autumn Joy is still babies, which I'm not quite sure what the difference was. Last year, this year I planted some, and they've grown a lot faster. In the center of this bed, doesn't look like much right now, but that is a little Hinoki cypress that is going to get about 3 to 5 feet, which I thought would be a really pretty center fixture or tree or shrub, not even a shrub, evergreen conifer in this bed. One of the plants that I'm super impressed with this year is this little bluish plant. This is a rosemary bog, and she has pink blooms that lasted for almost 2 months. But I love the color and the structure, so I'm hoping she will continue to fill out and kind of fill this space in a little bit. But I just thought, how pretty is it to have that color in here? More heuchera that I have divvied out or divided up. I planted it in some perennial grass, and that's really all it said was perennial grass. So I'm not sure the variety on this one, but I have a twin sister, and she's like, I don't really like it, Shawn. It looks like it's dead. It doesn't bother me. It's kind of nice. I like different structure and colors in the beds. I also have some coneflower in here, and more sweet flag, and some geraniums in here as well. And I did purchase some black mondo grass this year that I also love. The only downside is it's hard to see, so I might move it to another location where you can actually see a little bit better. So this is this space. Now, My husband and I are project-aholics. Besides, I'm a garden addict, but we are also project-aholics. We love doing projects. So we purchased, or he didn't even purchase, he got this table for free. It's been sitting in our shop for a couple years. And so a couple weeks ago, I painted it black, put a tablecloth, and now we have another little sweet little eating spot or just to hang out for the evenings or mornings. My twin lives in the UK. Her name is Marie. Hi, Marie. Anyways, they're coming for our birthday this year, and I took a week off to spend some time with her. So I'm hoping to have a garden party, and this will all come into play and be good seating areas out here. There is the Leland cypress that is healthy. Again, we got two. They were in big pots, and they were given to us for free. And for whatever reason, same climate conditions, same fertilizer, same amount of water, but that one is not doing so hot, so unfortunately that will have to come out. If I come back, and I'll talk to you about that bed in just a second. Again, this is the view this way. I mean, I just feel like this should be in a magazine. I just love it. And of course, I think all gardeners probably think that. And I forgot to mention these pots. I love these pots that the Japanese maples are in. And then down here, I do have a little tater tot arborvitae as well. I just love different types of greenery all throughout. So between each of these beds, there was like a 4-foot space. I was originally going to just do big round beds. And I decided no, because I knew our little puppies would want little areas to run around and play out here. So I broke it up a little bit more. There's another little seating table over there and as well. So we'll take a peek at in just a second. I just love it out here. So I don't know how many watch YouTube and all the gardening channels, but primarily the reason why I wanted to do our channel is because it's different. We are just solely rock gardens, and designed it last year, and I just wanted to provide a channel that provides other options other than grass. Now, grass is really soothing for your eye, especially if you've got lots of flower beds and you need a place for your eyes to rest. And while this looks really busy, that gravel or pea gravel or the rocks does give your eyes the ability to rest as you're transitioning to look at other things in the garden. So for us, it's a big win. I love it so much. So if you guys would put in the chat, what is your favorite ground cover or options? Back in the day, I had a similar design, not as landscaped as this, but I did rock beds and I loved them. And I put bark dust. Well, the problem with bark dust is you have to replenish it every year if you want it to look fresh. So using the rocks, again, it's an initial investment just to start out with, but then I don't have to do anything unless a mole or a groundhog digs a hole and I have to plant stuff back in there. So again, this bed, by the way, has been here. So we did this circle and the outliers and along the outside. They've been here for quite a bit of time. And one thing you're going to notice about our beautiful cherry tree, she's actually not so beautiful. She has had wood borers. She needs to be cut down, but we haven't had the heart to do so. Every year we talk about doing it, but she had the prettiest pink blossoms this year that didn't blow away. We didn't have wind right away, so we actually got to enjoy them. But typically what happens is we get the really beautiful pink blossoms and then the first windstorm, which we're on the Oregon coast, so it's not uncommon to get high winds even in the summertime. They blow off and it makes just a big yucky mess. This year was the first year though that we were actually blessed to be able to enjoy those blossoms, but she does eventually need to come down. But I will be sad because most of the shade is coming from her, at least in this area. So when it's really hot outside, we sit here. This area is all shaded because of her. But if you look up, she's not super healthy. In fact, she's got some branches that are just look like death. So that's the bad news. She's eventually coming out, but I don't know when. Let's continue this way. Again, we have more heuchera, more Corscosmias, more autumn joy sedum, and borage. This was in my garden, which I'll show you guys in a little bit, but we transformed our garden into just flowers. But I planted a couple borage seeds last year, and if you don't know this, borage turns out reseeds itself quite profusely, so you're going to be pulling some of those out. This rose is about ready to bloom too. She looks kind of coral red right now. I'm interested to see what she looks like. Her name is Sexy Rexy. Love the name, it's funny. So I can't wait to see her bloom as well. And then I have some big white dinner plate dahlias back there as well. If I come down here, I've got some more ladies mantle. Chrysosmias. This little purple geranium reminds me of the white and the purple one. It's got the same leaf structure, really beautiful purple flowers. The only thing I will say about this one, she can get kind of aggressive and likes to go out of her space as well, but that's okay. I just move her. Now from this fountain or bird bath, from here on, I'm going to talk to you guys about that. This section, watch my finger as I go this way, was put in last year, so it was about 12 feet, and we stopped there. And so we added this bed last year, and then this year we added another 12 feet to go down the rest of the way. And I can't wait to show you that bed because we've planted quite a few things in just a short time. Like since last May, it's just doing really well. This bed, because it was a brand new bed last year, I just threw wildflower seeds. So you're going to see the Sweet Williams. I had lots of lupin, and they're done blooming, but boy, was that so pretty. I have some really pretty photos with that. And then in here too, it's kind of hard to see because the lupin's taken over, but I do have some salvia that came back. It's probably the prettiest salvia that we have. It's a really dark purple. There's some geraniums in here. There's a mugo pine in here as well. I don't know if you can see because of the sun, but there's one down there. Some yarrow. I'm not sure what that wild orangish flower is, but the hummingbirds love that, as well as the butterflies love it. So that's pretty exciting. If I come down here, this is that new bed that I was talking about. Look at all my sedum autumn joy that I just plopped in the ground. It is starting to grow. This has dianthus and that purple sedum I don't know the name of. It also has calibrachoa and lavender. And if you look in the center, look at all that. That's zinnias, and I cannot wait. It's just going to be absolutely beautiful. So again, first year garden. Just, in fact, I think this is about 3 weeks old. So if I go this way, you can see how pretty it is. And so if I go, sorry about this, go up like this, you can see, I apologize if that sunlight's too bright. Originally, I wanted my husband to design the arbor to go right here, but we changed our minds because it didn't look right, because all of our other arbors are kind of flanking a sidewalk, so they're kind of at an angle. So we decided not to do that. I'm going to talk to you about that beautiful bed right there in just a second. But since I'm here, I don't want my shadow to be in the picture. My husband makes those arbors that I mentioned. And so he took one of the frames that he uses for the arbors, and he built me this beautiful circular bed that I just love. It's got a million different wildflowers in it. Cosmos, zinnias, bachelor buttons, poppies, and so forth. It also has some different colored dianthus and petunias, potato vine, silver Decatur Falls. So it's just going to take a couple more weeks of some heat to see all of this really start to take place, play out. My husband built this bench as well back there. Don't mind some of that ugly back there. That bench was there originally, and he hates those benches. I need to get rid of them. And I might donate them or give them to someone who doesn't have any benches, but they're not very high quality or very sturdy. So he built those black ones, or he built those benches, and I stained them black, or painted them black. By the way, in these two black pots right here, I have blue kazoo. Blue has a twin, so there's blue kazoo 1 and blue kazoo 2. Blue kazoo is a spirea, and what I like about it, it has like a bluish iridescent color. It's really pretty. And white blossoms. The white blossoms haven't bloomed quite yet. This is its first full year, so we'll see how they do. They were in the ground, and they've been moved quite a few times. If you're a gardener, we all know that we like to move things. So it's not a surprise that they've been moved. I was also trying to find the best lighting. Now, let's take a peek at this bed. It's one of my favorite in my gardens. This bed is like a half circle, and I just love it. We planted in, this is another Love Song Rose. Again, I wish the camera would kind of portray, it's really actually more of a mauve color, not a pink. So it's showing like a pink, but it's really a mauve color. I have some daisies in here. I think this is a bottle bush flower. It's not the bush, I don't think. It's just the flower. I have some really pretty ajuga in there that I purchased. I have cone flowers. You'll see along this section right here, these are geraniums that I planted by seed. When I first planted them outside, they weren't doing so hot, but they're doing pretty well now. I had to pull off quite a few of the bottom leaves, but they are doing pretty well now. I've got some more grasses in here, which I love. And you'll see that Autumn Joy again. And look at this rose. This is called Plum Perfect. Again, the camera is not doing its justice because it is a plum color. It's not this pink that it's trying to show. This is actually the color it's showing on the camera, what this color is. So this is mauve, and these are plum. And unfortunately, the sunlight's making them look pink. But it is so pretty. And by the way, for First Love, or Love Song, I can't remember her name, but look how big she is. She's way bigger than my hand. So pretty. So, and these have been in the ground since last July, so they're doing pretty well. The only sad thing is this one right here. This one is fine. And then this is a silver something. When we were taking these out of the pots, these big lemon cypresses right here, I'm going to call that a coral cypress now. They fell over and they broke the top of this one and my Love Song over there, which is fine. They're rebounding just fine. It's not that big a deal. And so again, you have probably noticed that Miss Shawnette has a color scheme and or plant theme. I try to grow what I can afford as far as plants. I try to purchase a couple accent or roses, little nicer quality roses every year, just to kind of add more of what I really, really love. But I can't afford all of the things all at once. By the way, I purchased all of these roses in this bed from Heirloom Roses, which if you were to ask me, I have 2 from Grace Rose Farms, that's right, and Heirloom Roses is in Oregon. Heirloom is probably my favorite because the roses came so healthy. Jackson and Perkins, that first Burst of Joy, that big orange one that I was telling you it's going to bloom, she was Jackson and Perkins. Jackson Perkins has nice roses as well. But my favorite, I'll just be honest, is Heirloom Roses. So if you're not sure which place to get the best bang for your buck, that would be it. So if I come back down this way again, this is the brand new arbor that my husband designed. And this bench right here was over where these 2 chairs are. We just move things around. I like lots of seating areas in the garden because you see I make little garden spaces. And as time progresses, these will feel more cozy and, defined in that space. Another big boulder. And then I wanted to show you guys, this is our chicken coop. Hello, ladies. We have 4 hens. We did have 5. One passed away last year. We're not sure what happened. This was a little blue shed that was not in the best of shape that primarily my husband and I just helped paint, redesigned last year. And it's perfect for our little girls in there. So now I'm going to come over this way. I promise we're trying to wind up. This bed is one of the outliers or lining beds that was put in about 5 or 6 years ago as well. And that arbor is also for sale. I should show you guys this really quick. You can actually, we put a bell in the center, but you could also put a giant hanging plant. But what is neat about, oops, I thought I was a lot closer than I was, is this can be a full circle like a total orb, or you can move it to the dimensions you want. And it is a big girl. She's really, really big. So in this bed, again, because there's a little bit more shade, I can get away on this side with some hostas. We've got more of the geranium. And this is what I mean. This geranium right here, she is a little bossy. She can kind of take over a little bit. She feels very comfortable in her space. Blakester purchased that years ago for our garden. This is one of the newer hydrangeas that John purchased last year for me. And this one's beautiful. I'm curious to see if they're still going to be pink or if our soil is going to be changing it to purple based on what's in your soil, if it's acidic or not. So this bed has kind of the same plants as my other beds. I've got a few gaps that eventually I need to plant up, but for now it looks beautiful. And you may have heard me say in this video or my prior videos, we used to just grow veggies out here. And then this year we decided, we're not great at veggies. Primarily because our growing season is a little bit shorter. And if you'll notice, this is still shade. It's going to turn sun in another hour, but then late afternoon it's going to be shade again. So we are just primarily growing just the flowers. This bed has cosmos. It also has the Zephyrin rose that I showed you over by the thing, and it too is not doing super hot. I don't know why the leaves are curling, and it looks like it's got some powder mildew. So you'll learn as you grow too, as if you're a new gardener. Try to grow things once you learn which roses do well in your in your area, grow those ones. But I'm hoping it's going to grow over. This is another arbor. This is a half moon gate arbor and then he added the, I think it's kettle pin, whatever you guys will tell me if that's incorrect or not. Again, some of my geraniums that I grew from seed, the coral sedum. And then this whole bed is primarily cosmos. So if I come over here, in fact, there's some that have some blossoms that are about ready to go. I also planted some peonies from Brex. They were rooted peonies, so that's, you just get your roots and then you plant them in. So they're not going to do super hot for a couple years. This is a basket I designed not too long ago with wave petunias, purple and pink, and wire vine that looks lovely, and it's sitting just in the center. This is a milk pail that I did last year, and it's still doing well with the hostas. And these are elk geraniums, by the way. They're about ready to be done. They only bloom once, but they're such a pretty little geranium. They're the two-toned pink. And then again, I have some autumn joy, my peonies, geraniums, and all the cosmos, which will just be so pretty. I planted cosmos in here last year and sunflowers, and it did take off. It was just absolutely magnificent. So give me just a second, and we'll talk about this bed real quick since we're here. This bed, oh, I couldn't think of the name earlier. This is the lamb's ear that I grew by seed. Very fun texture, soft as bunny's ears or lamb's ears, and really fun for kids. My grandkids will love that one when they come over. Salvia, and that bright purple salvia was just purchased again at Walmart, and it just said salvia, so I don't even know the version. We've got some pink dianthus in here that is just doing so well. As a new thing I'm trying, cornmeal. I heard cornmeal is supposed to make slugs' belly swell up and die. I don't know if it's the most humane way. You'll also see that we are trying hazelnut shells or filbert shells. Can't remember which one of those are. And then this is my salvia that I purchased from Heirloom Roses. These are actually proven winners, and these might be back. What are these ones? Rockin' fuchsia. So those will be pretty when they get going, if I can prevent the slugs. It turns out slugs really enjoy salvias as well. And then on the back, you're going to see some plants. Some of them are a little bit taller than others. That's called agastache or anise hyssop. And I grew these from seed as well, and they're so pretty. They have a really pretty purple, but the leaves themselves, they smell like a combination between root beer and I can't remember the other smell, but it kind of reminds me of root beer. So really pretty. This is the first year, so I expect this to fill in next year, and I'll probably buy some plants just to fill in as the time progresses. This is another salvia that I grew from seed. This is a red version, and it's doing pretty good for a first year as well. They're about ready to need to be pruned back though. Over here I have the same thing. Again, you're going to see my cornmeal. We try all the things on the Oregon coast because we have slugs more than any place that I know of, and it's definitely a battle. And then I did buy one lady's mantle this year, and I will probably divvy that out as time progresses. Some of these plants that I purchased this year were not as healthy as other plants. So again, once you find your vendors that you love, stick with them. There was another vendor that I purchased from, and I can't think of the name. And they weren't as beautiful as some of the others. More lamb's ear. This is a sage that I grew last year. I did have some herbs in here. There's another purple sedum back there. We have more of the purple salvia, just a generic name back here. And then I wanted to show you guys, before I go too far, my husband designed these 3 black flower beds for me this year so I could have out here, and I love them, and they're going to town. Another key, whether you're doing raised beds, especially something like this where it's up off the ground, you want to fertilize more. So I've been using a liquid fertilizer, and it's just helping everything grow. When I planted this up, I thought it was going to take absolutely forever, but you can see how full it is now. There's a sedum, again, one that I propagated, and this one's going to town. Otherwise, I've got more geraniums. I can't remember the name of this little guy. Good morning, girls. Good morning. And this was a echinacea that I grew from seed last year. And the only reason why I put it up here is to try to help with slugs, because their slugs haven't found this location yet. That's the reason being. And then more wave petunias, some trailing sedum that I also love. So these beds are just filling out, and there's like a orange coral dahlia dahlias in each of these as well. So again, if I come over here, it's kind of flanked with the same stuff. And they just look so, so pretty. Okay, there's my shadow. I don't want my shadow in there. Again, we have lots of foxglove. Remember how I talked about that amazing borage? And I grow them primarily for the bees. They just love it. But I blue and white, or purplish and white, that we'll be taking off here. I have lots of lavender. And I grew some different types of, they are black-eyed Susans or something, or autumn something. But anyways, they're doing okay for their first year. I also have planted quite a few zinnias, although when I planted them, it was still pretty wet out here. So some of them, I mean, I planted a lot. So anyways, long story short, they're not going to be doing as hot. We got more cornmeal, trying to see if we can't get those slugs, and more of the different types of, this is black and blue salvia. And if I can keep the slugs from not eating them, these are going to be beautiful. And if I come over this route, you're going to see the kind of the same flowers. This is a really, really deep purple salvia that I love. Again, from Heirloom Roses. It almost looks black before it blooms. And my dahlias that I planted out here this year, they're doing okay. I'm hoping they'll do well. I've got a new geranium that I wanted to share with you guys today, and it's about done blooming, so I apologize, but it is so pretty. I can't remember the name, but she's got dainty little deep purple to almost black flowers. And there's 3 in this bed that some of them are really slow to take off. More of the borage. We've got rosemary. We've got lots of sage over here. Kind of the same things over here. And if we do a nice glance up this way, you can see all the pretty. This bed, again, I planted because I had a big empty spot here. Another Veronica yesterday. More geraniums. These need to be cleaned up a little bit because the whites need to be popped off. More of, I think this is rock and fuchsia down there, salvia. And so as time progresses, these will all fill in. I promise you we are almost done. I was going to give you a last little tour of this back bed. I told you this is a little bit of a struggle area. The dahlias, though, are doing well. You'll see the dahlias in the back. More heuchera. We've got daylilies. And we have Veronica. This is First Glory. They're not quite blooming yet. And again, Heirloom Roses has nicer, healthier plants. You can see the slug damage on these guys. Makes me sad. More, oh my gosh, dahlias. I do have a few cosmos coming up in here as well. This hydrangea, for whatever reason, is struggling with chlorosis. I have put in some iron tone, and it's still not resolving the issue. So, and another sunjoy. Up here we have 2 different types of honeysuckle. One of them I really love, but it's almost done blooming. It kind of reminds me of the ghost honeysuckle, but the leaves kind of remind me, it's not the silver kind, but the leaves remind me of kind of like a lily pad. And this whole area, I wish there was smell-o-vision because it smells amazing. The last thing I wanted to show you guys before we end our garden tour, again, let's do one last view because it's just so, so pretty, is I wanted to show you guys the planter boxes that we did yesterday. We did 4 for my mother-in-law, but we stained them a light wooden color. And then my husband built 3 of these for me that I stained a dark black. And in here I have some purple fountain grass, which is going to get quite tall, followed by some, in fact, why don't we come up here so you guys can see a little bit better. Followed by some lavender, lantana in this one. And each one of them has a little bit different. Calibacoa. And again, if you are not aware, yesterday when I was at Walmart, I picked up some wave petunias that were clearanced at $4 for a pack of 6, I believe. And I took them home, I trimmed them up. They're not blooming now because I basically butchered them back to the basics. But they will be growing in no time and look beautiful. So again, if you're looking to save money, you can actually get things off of clearance, prune them back, and they will do great. And then these have a boxwood with geraniums that I grew from seed and the wave petunias as well. But I really wanted just to show you these planters that my husband did for me. and I stained and planted up yesterday. The ones for my mother-in-law are equally beautiful. They're just a lighter color and stain. So same kind of consistency over here. We've got the Calibrachoa, the lavender. Oh, and I have potato vine on the front to trail down. So you got your thriller, spiller, and filler components. So in another month, these are going to be just taking off and beautiful. The last thing I'll show you on my deck is one of my favorite components, and that is this big, don't mind that table, I need to clean that off, that big window box. It is really, really pretty. It's got wire vine, 2 lemon cypress, and lots of geraniums, some sweetgrass. And again, you don't have to have a lot of flowers to make interest in areas. This is primarily shade over here. This is going to get sun just for right there in the morning for about an hour or two, and then it's going to be all shaded. Those have hostas planted up in there, and then this big pot right here is hiding, not really very well, but our meter box. So that, you guys, I'm going to come down here. The last thing I wanted to show you, but I don't want to get close because they look terrible, is my tree roses. Those are knockout red tree roses, but they are so damaged right now with aphids that as soon as they're done blooming, they start out with this bright red flowers, but they are going to end up turning almost a dark pink before they're done, but they are not healthy, so I didn't want to get too close to those. So that, you guys, is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching my June tour. I'm going to do another one towards the end of June, but this is our garden at the very beginning of June, and it is just absolutely beautiful. Thank you for your time today, you guys. I hope you're enjoying your weekend and enjoying your families, and I will talk to you very soon on the next video. Thank you. Bye.